Hi, it's Rob from the Bobsphere, and it's time for my May wrap up. Okay, May was a very dodgy month. I DNF 14 books. I don't know, this always happens. May, June are weird for me. I can, and January, those are months where my reading just goes awry. Well, even throughout the whole, even July, until the Booker long list comes out, it's like my reading's a whole mess. But we went through, I think, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Went through 13 books. Most are good. So let's start. So, Prima facie. This is the first of a series of detective novels. There are four in all, well, four at the moment, by Mark Camilleri. It does what every good first, part of a series does. It introduces the character. It's quite a good murder, and everything gets solved. But mostly, we're building up the characters. The characters' method of working, his attitude, and everything else. It's a girl is found strangled. This detective Inspector Gallo has to figure it out, and then he gets the clues. There's another victim, and then he solves everything in time. We know who the killer is 100 pages, just before 100 pages before the book ends. But it's solid. It's a good start. Now I will be reading the rest of the parts very soon. In fact, next week I'll be reading the second volume, Violence. Alright, so yeah, it was good. This Wilder Winds by Belle Ola, translated by Laura McLaughlin, if I am pronouncing it properly, or McLaughlin. This is a short story collection, and it's really good. Fum de Stampa published books by Catalan authors, and they translate them. This is part of their subscription service. I haven't received the other ones, but Maltese Post is not good at the moment again. So I have a feeling in December I'll be getting a huge pile of them. Anyway, so it's these are stories that focus on tiny little details. Then you find out that those tiny details actually are really important. And lots of the stories are like this. There's one that actually takes place in Malta because the author visited it. In our Peace Lab, there's a very accurate description. It's good. Highly recommended. Next, one of my highlights of the month, the Gallows Poll. Ben Myers can do no wrong. And even when he's writing a historical novel, because generally I don't like them, but this one I do like, it's about a series, a gang of people who, in the 18th century, who create counterfeit coins, just thus upsetting the whole monetary system of Britain. Then it's up to a tax person, whatever, to find the head of this gang. And then there's a showdown. Gruesome, interesting, never boring. Yeah, it's brilliant. If you like Ben Myers, read this. If you've never read him, read this. Simple as that. This one was for the IRL book club I co-run. This is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. This is my first Faulkner, and I really enjoyed it, so I will be reading him again. Modernist style, so it's the stream of consciousness. It's very fragmented. It's about different viewpoints on a death. It's symbolic, very religious in places, dark humor in others, poignant in some, and it's got quite a nasty twist in there. Yeah. It's about a woman who dies and she wants to be buried in her hometown, and then you get everyone's perspective on that. And things aren't all as they seem. Douglas Copeland said all families are psychotic, and yeah, it works in this. Lolly Willows. This is one of the backlisted titles. The Backlisted Challenge is, well, it's a podcast, and they feature a book every 2 weeks. They started in 2016, so I said, okay, let me read every single book they feature. This is one of them. This is my first Sylvia Townsend Warner, and hopefully it won't be my last if I ever have time. So it's a book of two halves. It starts off as a country tale. A woman whose father dies decides to move from the country to city, and she has to adapt to life there. But then She starts dabbling in witchcraft, and the book just takes off and goes totally surreal. It's brilliant. Nothing like it. Wonderfully weird. Okay, Graham Cavaney, The Boy with the Perpetual Nervousness. That's the title of a Feely song. This is a autobiography. I sort of liked it. I'll tell you why. Okay, so it takes place in the north, and the author is working class, and it talks about. Oh, I think here comes Snickers. No, oh no. Okay, again, mysterious Snickers does not want to show up on my videos. Anyway, so he talks about working class conditions, what they ate, how they lived, what it's like up in the north, and I like that. I'm a fan of northern writing. In fact, that's why I like Ben Meyer so much, Neil Griffiths, etc., etc. But then it's also a tale of abuse. So the author was abused by the headmaster of a school, and that for me makes very uncomfortable reading. I don't like reading about that stuff, so it made me a bit icky. So approach this with caution, as I say. But the music and the books, because he likes music, he likes books, and northern descriptions, those are great. Another one of the backlisted books. It's going to be one more, yeah. Another backlisted books. The Great Fire. I did not really like this, to be honest. It felt like an A-level textbook. It develops nicely, beautiful writing, but it takes a long time to get started. And I kind of lost my patience. I did finish it, though. It's about a man who travels to Japan post-atomic bombs. He falls in love. And there's consequences to that. Well, yeah. It's well written, let's put it that way. Beautifully written. The characters are amazing. It's perfect in its own way, but I got kind of bored. And that's that. This is Approved Seek the Singing Fish. I adored this. The review will be coming out later on this month, towards the end. I don't want to give too much away, but I called it Life of Pi meets Salman Rushdie. It's about a woman who likes animals. She's in the middle of war-torn Sri Lanka. Then she moves to England, and there's a culture clash. Lots of animals, though. Lots and lots. This is my book of the month. The last of the backlisted featured books. This is Passing by Nella Larson. It's very similar to, well, you can tell that Brit Bennett was inspired by this to write The Vanishing Half. It's about a woman who passes herself as a white woman, a black woman who passes herself as a white woman, and then she meets up with her friends, and she kind of has to atone for her attitude, but this is all behind the back of her racist husband. And when he finds out the truth, chaos. Short, sweet, to the point, brilliantly written. This is faultless. Just read it. Just read it. And if you think that only classics are read by dead white men, think again. Let's breathe some life into that. Okay, this is another disappointment. Lucy McKnight Hardy. This is her short story collection, Dead Relatives. Now, I loved her debut novel, Water Shall Refuse Them. I thought it was amazing. So I looked forward to this. I know she has this Shirley Jackson vibe. She really channels it well. Some of her writing spooky. But it didn't work very well for this. The first story, it's a novella, about 60, 70 pages, is absolutely fantastic. It is worth the price of the book alone. Everything else doesn't live up to that. It's a bit But read that first story. Let me tell you what it's called. It's the title story. Doe. Another short story collection, but this one went better. This is Ushi Gatward, the late great Ushi Gatward. It's the only thing she's published. And she passed away in December of last year. English Magic. This is kind of, I call it a short story collection, which also functions as a tour around England. It talks about different aspects of English culture. The best story in here is about a couple that find a seagull in their ruined fireplace. It's absolutely brilliant, but there's a lot of highlights here. About seasides, cities, everywhere. It's a tour of England, done in poignant short stories. Some are funny, some are serious. It's a typical galley beggar product. I mean, writing's excellent and the plot is great. You can't go wrong with galley beggars. They've never let me down yet. My fave, Irvine Welsh, Reheated Cabbage. That means I only have one book left of his, which is Skag Boys. Thank you, jar. By the way, this is the famous jar I'm always talking about. All my books are chosen here. So when I finish one, I choose another straight after. Or a couple. Anyway, so this is a collection of previously published work by Irvine Welsh. Some have been in anthologies. Some have been, well, mostly in anthologies. The only new story is the last one, and I'll tell you, it shows the development of Irvine Welsh. The first few stories are quite gross and full of black humor, but then they kind of get more elegant as time passes by, especially with the last one. The last one is, let's say this, it's actually quite tame by Irvine Welsh's standards and has a happy ending. He never used to do them in the beginning, but now they're becoming more popular. Did I like it? Yes, very much. Only two stories I didn't like in this whole thing. I did laugh. It gave me memories of the older Irvine Welsh when I used to. Well, I still collect him, but when I used to really, really, really like him. I still read everything he does, but here there was a bit of a nostalgia blast. So if you're a fan, read this. If you're starting out, I'd say read this too, because you can see how he developed. Then you can check which books you'd like the most. And last, we've got Malta's first serialized comic in English. This is Mib Duel. This is going to be in 6 parts. Quite high quality. The script is written by Theodore Relic, and Ines Christina did the illustrations. It's about this country, this planet called Mibdul, and through corrupt means it actually gets some money in the economy, but then one of the leader decides to tamper with the environment, and the environment gets its revenge. That's how far I know. I have to read the next part, and I will be. And that is May. Like I said, a mixed batch, but some good stuff. I read some classics. Stuff I always want to do because I'm lacking in that area. And I think that's it. How was your May? Looking forward to anything in June? Just pop it down on the comments below. See ya!